The Midnight Invocation. The invitation to the midnight ritual arrived mysteriously, slipped beneath my door in the dead of night. It was written on parchment, the ink shimmering in the dim light of my apartment. Despite its cryptic nature, or perhaps because of it, I found myself drawn to the promise of the unknown. The instructions were simple: meet at the abandoned church, on the outskirts of town at the stroke of midnight, and prepare to witness wonders beyond comprehension. It was a dare, a challenge to my skepticism, and I accepted without hesitation. As the appointed hour approached, I made my way to the church, the night air heavy with anticipation. The moon hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the overgrown graveyard that surrounded the crumbling structure. The windows were shattered, the doors hanging from their hinges, and yet there was an eerie beauty to the decay. I was not alone. Others had gathered, drawn to the promise of the ritual like moths to a flame. We exchanged nervous glances, our footsteps echoing in the empty silence. None of us knew what to expect, but the air crackled with a tangible energy, a sense that something momentous was about to unfold. At the stroke of midnight, a figure emerged from the darkness, cloaked in robes of deepest black. Their face was hidden in the shadows, but their presence commanded respect and awe. Without a word, they motioned for us to follow, and we obeyed, drawn deeper into the heart of the church. Inside, the air was thick with incense, the scent heavy and intoxicating. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls, and strange symbols adorned the floor. It was a scene straight from the pages of a forbidden tome, a glimpse into the realm of the arcane. The figure led us to the center of the room, where a circle had been drawn in chalk. They spoke then, their voice low and melodious, weaving a tapestry of words that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. It was a language I did not understand, yet its power was undeniable, sending shivers down my spine. As the incantation reached its climax, a feeling of unease settled over me, a nagging doubt that whispered of dangers unseen. But it was too late to turn back now. I was already caught in the web of the ritual, a pawn in a game whose rules I did not comprehend. Suddenly, the air shifted, a chill wind blowing through the room as if summoned by the very words spoken. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on shapes that twisted and wreathed in the flickering candlelight. I could feel the eyes of unseen entities upon me, their gaze cold and unrelenting. Then, with a deafening crack, the circle erupted into flames, engulfing us in a ring of fire that burned with an intensity that defied logic. Panic swept through the group, cries of fear and disbelief drowned out by the roar of the inferno. I could feel the heat searing my skin, the flames licking at my clothes with hungry tongues. But as suddenly as it had begun, the fire vanished, leaving us standing in stunned silence amidst the smoke and ash. The figure in black was gone, vanished into the darkness from whence they came, leaving us alone to ponder the horrors we had witnessed. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself it had all been a hallucination, a trick of the mind brought on by the power of suggestion. But the burns on my skin told a different story, a painful reminder of the truth that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. I never learned the purpose of the midnight ritual, nor did I seek to uncover its mysteries. Some things are better left unknown, their secrets buried in the shadows where they belong. But the memory of that night will haunt me forever, a testament to the dangers of delving too deeply into the darkness that lies at the edge of our world. Echoes of the Forgotten. The clock struck midnight, its chime echoing through the old, decrepit house like a harbinger of doom. I stood in the dimly lit room, my heart pounding in my chest, my hands trembling with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Tonight was the night we would perform the ritual, The ritual whispered about in hushed tones by those who dared to speak of it at all. I glanced around at my companions. Their faces drawn and pale in the flickering candlelight. We had gathered here, drawn together by our shared curiosity and the promise of power, beyond our wildest dreams. But as I looked into their eyes, I saw the same doubt and fear reflected back at me. Were we truly prepared for what lay ahead? The room grew colder as we began to prepare, laying out the items we would need for the ritual: a pentagram drawn in chalk, candles arranged in a circle, and an ancient tome containing the incantations that would summon the entity we sought to commune with. Each item held a weight of significance, a reminder of the forces we were about to unleash. As the hour grew later, the atmosphere in the room grew tense, the air heavy with the weight of our intentions. With trembling hands, I lit the candles, their flickering flames casting eerie shadows on the walls. The time had come to begin. With a sense of trepidation, I opened the tome and began to recite the incantations, each word sending a shiver down my spine. The air seemed to crackle with energy, the very fabric of reality shifting around us as we delved deeper into the ritual. But as the incantations reached their crescendo, a feeling of dread settled over me, a sense that we had trespassed into forbidden territory, where the laws of nature held no sway. I glanced around at my companions, their faces contorted in expressions of terror, and realized that we had made a grave mistake. Suddenly, the candles flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Panic gripped me as I realized that something had gone horribly wrong, that we had summoned not the entity we sought, but something far more sinister. In the darkness, I heard a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. A voice filled with malice and hunger. It spoke of ancient evils and forgotten nightmares, promising us power beyond our wildest dreams in exchange for our souls. But even as it spoke, I knew that its promises were hollow, that its intentions were anything but benevolent. We had unleashed a force beyond our comprehension, a force that sought only to consume and destroy. With a sense of desperation, I reached for the tome, hoping to find a way to banish the entity back to the depths from whence it came. But as my fingers brushed its pages, a searing pain shot through me, and I recoiled in horror as I realized that the tome was no ordinary book. It was a prison, a vessel containing the very entity we had sought to summon. In that moment, I knew that our only hope lay in destroying the tome, in breaking the bonds that held the entity captive and setting it free once more. With a sense of grim determination, I tore the pages from the book, shredding them into pieces and casting them into the darkness. As the last shreds of paper fell to the ground, a deafening roar echoed through the room, and I felt a surge of energy as the entity was released from its prison. But instead of attacking us, it seemed to hesitate, as if unsure of what to do next. And then, with a blinding flash of light, it was gone, leaving behind nothing but a sense of emptiness and despair. We had won, but at what cost? The house was silent once more, the darkness receding like a tide, and I knew that we would never be the same again. As we stumbled out into the night, I couldn't help but wonder what horrors awaited us in the darkness, what nightmares we had unleashed upon the world. But one thing was certain: we would never forget the price we had paid for our curiosity, the price of dabbling in forces beyond our control. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, I vowed never to repeat the mistakes of that fateful night, to leave the shadows and the whispers of the unknown where they belonged in the past.